I've had the privilege of working with athletes at the very top level, some of the best in the world. A lot of our world champions in swimming are from Queensland, world record holders by the likes of Grant Hackett and Libby Lenton and Liesl Jones. They all come through the QAS program and get the benefit of our sports science, which sports psychology is part of it. But the interesting thing is, the work that I might do with the Libby Lentons and Liesl Joneses is really not any different to what I would apply to junior sports children or participants. And I also coach an 8-year-old team, and I coach 12-year-old netball as well, and it's the same stuff. So it's not rocket science, it's very common sense, but we need to make sure that we're following the correct principles if we want to get the best out of our kids. And I agree with what Wayne said as well. It doesn't matter if they're not going to go on to be future champions. The goal for what we do is to get the very best out of every single individual. Okay, one of the things that athletes report to me, and it doesn't matter whether they're elite athletes or the kids that I coach in netball, is there's a really great state that they say, oh, when I played my very best, they report quite a very specific description of what it feels like. And that description is an optimal performance, where they say they've got a heightened sense of awareness. So they're really, really feeling every little thing that's going on. There's sometimes an altered perception of time, and that's where maybe they get through the game and they feel like it's gone in the snap of a finger. Or they may also feel that for every return of serve or every single thing that they had to do in that game, they had heaps and heaps of time to see what was going on and respond in the right way. So that perception of time was kind of weird, but they get to the end and they go, oh wow, that was just fantastic. They also have a feeling of absolute control. So they're not worried about something going wrong, they're not rushing, they're not panicking, it's just I'm in control. They're usually completely immersed in the activity, they feel like it's easy, it's not hard work, and there's a sense of exhilaration, and they get to the end and they've had a fantastic performance result. So if that's what they're describing all the time, if we know that that is what an optimal performance is, okay, we want to make that the goal of sports psychology. So if I could achieve something, it would be to enable athletes every single time they went out on the field or stepped up to race, have that experience. We do know that there are some things that make it more likely to occur. And the first thing is that if we want a flow state experience to occur, the challenge has to be equivalent to the preparation and ability. With that, then they can relax and be immersed in the performance. But if they think that's not going to be good enough for you, if they think you're going to be disappointed because, you know, maybe they didn't do enough training, or maybe they, you know, did go out partying and got themselves a cold and now they're not in their best condition. Okay, if they know that either a parent or a coach or a significant person in their life is not going to be happy with their best, they cannot be immersed in the activity. It's a distraction. Okay, and it won't produce their best. Okay, so coupled with that, the next point of being in a state of positive exhilaration, that's the fun part. If I'm looking forward to it, if I can't wait to get out there and do it, yeah, I'm going to be immersed in the activity. I'm going to be having a great time, and I will access the best of my training. Okay, the best of my motor memory, the best sequencing with my teammates, my best race plan, whatever it is, I'll access that because I'm in a great mood and I'm really looking forward to it. And as parents and coaches, we've got a great influence over that as well. Okay, and the final one, athletes to be detached from results and consequences. Obviously, if they're thinking about the outcome, they're not in the moment, they're not in the present tense. So if we can keep those concepts in our mind, then it's likely that we can guide the kids to being in the best state for that particular performance. So we start with that. Now, there's only 3 things that we can be experiencing at any one time. That's, we can be feeling something, we can have an emotion, mood state, or a physical feeling. We can be thinking about something. Think of it in those terms, it becomes pretty easy. But what typically happens is athletes start with the feelings. Okay, I've got a competition coming up next weekend. I'm getting a little bit nervous. That's my feeling. I'm feeling nervous. When I start to feel nervous, that affects my thinking. I start to think, I hope I play my best. Gee, I hope my opposition is not too good. Or I hope I don't come last. Gee, I wonder what it's going to be like. All these sort of thoughts start to come into our heads. And none of those thoughts that I just said to you are positive or constructive thoughts. They're all wishful thinking, and anything that's wishful or hoping is to me a negative thought because it's not within your control. Positive thoughts are things that are controllable. Yep, I can do something about it. Okay, it's a good thing to be thinking. Okay, so the feelings, the emotion affects the thoughts. Once I start thinking like that, that affects my actions. Okay, maybe I'm normally really relaxed and hanging out with my friends, but because I'm feeling nervous and I'm thinking these worrying thoughts, I start pacing. I start isolating myself from my normal friends who I chat away to, and I start focusing and concentrating more. And when I start doing that, I start getting tension in my muscles. And when I get tension in my muscles, if I've got a swimming race coming up, when I dive in the water, I start lactating earlier because I've been working my muscles with all that thinking and concentrating and isolating myself because I want to try so hard. So I've changed what I've done, and I've probably stuffed up my performance. So where we need to start with the thing that is the most easy to control. And the most easy to control thing happens with our muscles. It's the doing things, the actions. So have an action plan. What's my success pattern? When I perform at my best, what am I doing? And if I'm performing at my best just at club level, let's work it out from club level. What are the patterns of behaviour that I go through at club level? I'm really relaxed and chatty, or maybe I am, following a certain warm-up at that time. That's the thing that you want to repeat. Keep the patterns of behaviour the same. And probably the hardest thing to do is to switch athletes off, not switch them on. So typically I find, and this is even with the kids, whether they're getting ready for a ballet recital for their first time on stage, or whether it's their soccer game, kids will just get just as nervous and just as much thinking as the elite athletes will at a very, very important competition. So we want them to know you don't have to think the whole time. Okay? Don't start with thinking, start with doing. And sometimes the doing thing can be what I call a planned distraction. It's something that's got nothing to do with the task ahead of you. It's just fun. Okay, I'm off doing this fun thing. Okay, 5 minutes before I go, okay, switch on now, off I go, and I'm nice and relaxed for that performance. So those sorts of routines are absolutely critical. That makes me think better. That then leaves me with my emotions as the last thing to go, oh, I'm actually feeling a little bit calmer or feeling a little bit better. So start with the actions. It doesn't matter how I feel, it only matters what I do. That's the easiest to control. Talk about sports sites, they think that we do goal setting, and yes, we do goal setting, but it's the thing that I find coaches are most accomplished at anyway. I find most coaches are really aware of goal setting. We've got to give the kids or athletes something to aim at, and you set those things up right at the start of the season. Those are our long-term goals, our end-of-season goals, and yes, they are really, really important because they help keep the athletes motivated through the training and on task. But if we expect at the end of the season that those athletes are not going to be thinking about outcomes and just have to be thinking about the process, and yet we've taught them all season about focusing on this long-term goal, how can they turn around and be process-focused on that most important day? They can't because they haven't practiced it at all. So we need to balance it. We need those long-term goals, but we also need those in-the-moment goals that they practice week in and week out. Okay, what are you thinking about right now? Okay, to walk into training, what's your plan for today? How do you know if you achieve it? Okay, sounds like a good goal. Maybe the goal can be a physical thing, maybe it can be about concentration. Maybe it can be about how they control their focus of attention. Goals can be about anything, but you need an in-the-moment process goal to teach them how to use that process focus all the time. So process goals are really useful for that. And there's also another really great story that I had about surpassing your goals. I had a swimmer who I think was ranked maybe top 20 in the country.